in the style of wrestling, bro.
No, pero lo pusiste duro, voy a poner duro, vengo.
Dale, go.
Ay, aquí estamos. It's 3:05 p.m. Cafecito chats with Domino, pero today's guest is the man, the Papaya God, the leader of the Bermuda Triangle, Otto Von Schirach. Que hola, ¿cómo estamos? I know that you have a routine. I know we've talked many times, which, by the way, it is an honor. Thank you for having me, allowing me in to your precious studio, into the Bermuda Triangle directly. I personally, I don't think I've ever shared this with you, but you are somebody that for many years I've looked up to. You've been an inspiration, a role model to me specifically because you put on for your city and because you are an ambassador, a pioneer. You are Miami royalty, at least I consider. And you embrace Miami culture and everything you do and all your art. So thank you for allowing me in here. But now, not only have I always been a fan of yours, but now as a friend of yours and potential future tag team partner. Vamos a ver. But thank you. Thank you for having me
my
here.
My brother. What an honor. The honor's all mine, bro.
But going back to with what I wanted to ask or say is that in getting to know you, I know like, hola. ¿Qué cuenta?
Ponte aquí a dormir.
¿Quieres café?
No, te vas a sacar los mocos para todo.
Sácate los mocos aquí en la cámara para que te vean.
Coño, tremendo moco, así. Damn. That was tremendo intro, you
Claro,
know?
bro. Aquí tú eres bárbaro aquí, bro.
Since I met you, bro. Since I met you, we've been fucking...
It's funny because...
Tú me trajiste una cerveza.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I brought you
papaya.
Being at Union Beer Store, you're performing at Bar Nancy, being at Union Beer Store on A Street. We had a papaya-based sour beer. And I was like, coño, the Papaya God is performing at Bar Nancy. I need to take him a papaya beer. That was a Union collab. And I took it. And then 5-6 years later, I find out when we became friends, wrestling training, que todavía lo tenías ahí en la nevera.
Estaba esperando el día que me tomara otra cerveza para tomarme esa cerveza.
You were like, manifesting our unity,
yeah,
so we can share it together.
Exactly. No, and look what it manifested. The
Absolutely.
Fridge, it fucking sparked some witchcraft, and we're here together.
Absolutely. But I did want to talk about going back to that Cafecito, right? I know in getting to know you, you've always told me that Cafecito specifically, you have a routine with the Cafecito. It's your pre-workout, if you will, before you step into the studio and it gets your creative juices flowing. So you can just elaborate on what Cafecito has meant to you.
Cafecito. It's Cuban coffee's hardcore, you know, since day one. Abuelita, you know, they put it on an IV straight to the foreskin, you know? Like, They gave you tremendo cafecito since you were 3 years old, you were drinking cafecito. Pero yeah, I mean, I take breaks from caffeine, so then when I do have it, I'm like, the you know, the polyphenols and all the magic inside that, you know, and the adenosine receptors. Maybe it's too scientific for Miami, pero, you know, we're speaking Bermuda Triangle. The adenosine receptors, all that stuff, you take a little break, boom, you're back, you the café. Nunca me tomo café at 3:05 p.m. Yeah, it's past my bedtime.
Which thank you for doing. I know you always do it. I know you always drink your coffee early, and you made an exception for today at 3:05 p.m.
Oh, but it feels good.
Claro, bro.
It's like crack. It's like Cuban crack, you know? La abuelita, and they made it special, sin azúcar.
Sin azúcar. Aquí para estar ripeado y pompeado. Dale, enséñale ahí los músculos.
El vampiro,
Oye,
chupanaga.
El vampiro el Dracúlo, yo lo he visto training. He's been training at the CCW training facility. Y el tipo está ahí soltando, está ripeado y está soltando piñazos. En serio.
For the old man that still eat papaya, you know, like me and Gangrel.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because you have another vampiro training you in Gangrel at the CCW training facility.
We're so lucky, bro.
I want to go back to, you said 3 years old. You had your first cafecito, right? Has Junior had her first cafecito? Yeah, she needs 3 years old.
Today, she steals things. A quick story, like 2 seconds. On Christmas, her mom was tattooing me, giving me like my Christmas tattoos that I always get every year on Christmas. I get a tattoo. And she was giving me the E.T. Mongoloid E.T.'s finger. And we're there in her studio, and I'm like, why is she quiet, bro? And she steals a box of chocolates y se lo está comiendo with the aluminum.
Salvaje.
Como hoy, cogió el café.
We came in and she had it right here.
She was like
ready to play with it.
And the same thing with her mom. She stole her mom's coffee. So I don't know.
I
hope not.
Are you willing to, for the first time ever, giving her first taste in front of the people?
No, pobrecita, bro. Pobrecita. Can you? I remember being a kid and drinking coffee. I would get these headaches, and the nurse would be like, "Para tomar café," you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, my grandma me da café con leche, you know.
Yeah.
At school, you know, you would get these headaches, and it was from coffee.
I know. I remember la vieja. She always told me, "No, ¿qué clase de dolor de cabeza tengo? No es porque no me he tomado el café todavía." And it's like the dependency we've that has grown, that we've established from like the lack of drinking coffee.
Hey, being Cuban's hard, bro.
Yeah, it's like there's a dependency on it for sure. And with any style of coffee, I feel, but especially us in Miami with El Cafecito, which is just, I've seen people working previously in Little Havana. I would see people coming in, tourists would come in to Union Beer Store with the whole colada, like the whole foam cup, thinking that they had to consume that whole cup. And I thought they were like empiricao or something. I'm like, what do you? And they drank the whole cup. I'm like, no, you're supposed to drink it at the little shareable. So, oh no, I thought that was just a share, but I was by myself.
Coño, how many of those do you drink a day? The whole thing?
I probably within a day, like 4 shots,
okay,
4 to 5 shots, which throughout the day. But 5 shots each foam cup. For those who don't know, a little lesson here. For those that don't know, colada is this cup right here, and each colada contains about 5 little plastic cups inside. A little fact of the day, cafecito fact of the day, if you will. But I do want to talk about, we were talking about tag teams and us training together and whatnot, but I did want to ask if there's any specific artist that you wish you can collaborate with, alive or deceased, in your lifetime, that you wish you can tag team with and collaborate on a music track. Who would it have been or who would it be?
Coño.
Dracúlo and who?
Coño, alive. I mean, I don't know. Bucket list would be like Tom Waits, I think. Algo así. Y muerto, let's change it. I don't know, man. Muerto, ¿quién? Coño. Mozart?
Damn.
Or Eazy-E?
Damn, tremendo collaboration.
Me, Mozart, Eazy-E, and Divine.
You encompass every musical genre pretty much in one
Klaus
track.
Nomi.
Yeah.
Coño, porque me lo tumbaste fuerte. You know, I want to say like Benny Moré or something too for our people, pero coño.
Yeah.
I don't.
The
I
ultimate
love
collaboration,
music, bro.
of
like,
course.
Everything, you know, you can.
Some
ahí
Dracúlo.
un pollo se está cagando, and I'm like, yo, tremendo música que me hizo ese pollito. Cagalera, you know, but it's music.
And that's the track, Cagalera.
Cagalera, that's tremendo track que me hizo. I love all sounds and you know, like, you know, old school like people like John Cage that were like, you know, everything, just listen right now. There's music everywhere. There are mosquitoes.
You can find art in any sound.
100%.
Pretty much. Speaking of sound, there's a track that you're working on in collaboration, speaking of collabs, in collaboration con un tipo ahí que se llama Domino. The name of the track is Ponte las Pilas.
Ponte las pilas.
I think this is the first time we've ever in public have mentioned that there's a song in the works. But as a treat, I don't know if you'd be down.
I'm down.
To
like
give the people a snippet of the song Ponte las Pilas. A little tease of the first time tease of Ponte las Pilas.
Poniendo el code. I went to one of your matches and I saw your intro and I was like, coño, you need more intros. So te hice un intro, pero entonces I was like, what, you want to develop this track into something bigger? And then then I started training and I was like, no, let's make it a track, you know, like
We're trying to get to the top 100 Billboard.
No, bueno, coño, no sé eso, bueno, hopefully, pero let's make it something fun, you know, that you can, you know, post your reels and shit.
Yeah. Está spooky. Ahí está.
Ponte la pila.
We might do a kid-friendly edit. We might do a beat there, you know.
We're gonna have to censor that.
Galleta, galleta. Ponte la pila.
That is great.
Te voy a despingar. Ponte.
Y'all heard it here first. Y'all heard it here first.
Galleta, galleta.
Coño, tremendo bass.
Galleta para todo el mundo. Auto cooking in the
Ahí,
studio.
chaquetazo.
I don't know, but I think the people need to call TRL and request that #1 song. Do you
feel
remember those
bro.
days?
Oh my God, que rico, dog. What was it called? The box.
The box. Oh man. Yeah, it takes it back. That takes it
Pero
back.
coño, yeah, we're gonna get on that track,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be there's a story in la novela.
La novela.
Stay tuned to la novela,
Stay
bro.
tuned. I feel bad for whatever heel we're going against.
Yeah.
That's gonna have to follow up with that after that song.
After that
Esa
song.
canción mete miedo.
Es tremendo terremoto.
Yeah. Speaking of
Earthquake.
speaking of heels, all right. I want to ask you, what would you say, like growing up, or not necessarily growing up, or in the span of your life, right? Like, what has been or who has been the biggest heel in your life?
Who? Like who?
Who or what?
Or what?
It could be un aguacate podrido. It could be
Eso, bueno.
a teacher. It could be something right now.
Aguacate podrido, peo escondido.
Yeah.
But that's not a heel. That's kind of a face to me, you know. But mira los aguacates, we're blessing
Mira
them.
Qué lindo.
Aguacate from 3 different trees in this neighborhood. Bueno, 2 trees. One tree is in your neighborhood, in your house.
I think it was this one.
Yeah.
Ese mismo.
Tremendo huevo. Dinosaur testicle. Pero, coño, the biggest heel, I guess I speak for anybody. Like, the biggest heel for me growing up in Miami, that's only Miami, has to be Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah.
It's the only heel that I
That's-
can think of. Like, it's so Miami based. Like, you go somewhere else and there's a different heel, but because who
The
else?
ultimate
heel in your house as a
ultimate
kid, if you're
heel.
Cuban, was Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro, forever, #1 heel.
Pobrecito, your parents that had to fucking vacate their life and come to nothing.
Yeah. And we can't ask the question about a heel without asking a question about a baby face. So if you could tell me who or what in your life has been the biggest baby face, the biggest moment of joy that provides joy to your life. Who's that one? What or who is that one thing that you find yourself always like cheering for and praying to or worshiping or lo que sea?
Coño, the biggest face I would have to say in my young years was my grandmother, because era tremenda santera, mágica. She was just like a witch. Pero también the Bermuda Triangle, For me, this place is so magical and so beautiful. If it's a thing, if it's a person, probably my grandmother. Seeing her like pasar muerto and just fucking deep in the nebula of atoms and being such a powerful Cuban lady,
Yeah, absolutely. How about el árbol de aguacate que tiene?
El árbol de aguacate, que rico, bro. It's hard to leave the triangle when in this neighborhood, there's so many aguacates all year long, and mangoes. Mango season, bro, is coming.
Absolutely. We were just talking about that yesterday, driving up, how, June, mango season's coming up. Ya tenemos la papaya, tenemos el aguacate, y ahora vienen los mangos.
Coño, y la papayita de Miami, que rico. Bro.
Claro, eso de la papayita por todos lados en Miami.
No hay falta aquí de la papaya.
Now, since we're speaking about fruit, I know you have this big connection. You did an article on the Miami New Times in the past, and I think the headline was talking about how your connection to fruits, right? So, what can you tell the people, why you're connected to, our planet's gifts that they have to us and the fruits that it provides to us, your connection to the fruits?
Coño, I mean, definitely is deep. The trees are these beings that are alive for so many years, and they have this frequency that maybe we can really understand them if we listen.
Absolutely.
And we feel like they're not living.
We take it for granted.
We take it for granted. No offense to the vegans.
Yeah.
But they kill these plants. And they shit on the meat eaters, but coño, the plants are alive too,
Yeah.
Maybe we can't talk to them.
And there's such an abundance of tropical and exotic fruits here in Miami that I feel like we do take for granted, right? Because again, we have mango trees in our backyards,
Everybody has a mango tree in their yard.
Yeah.
And remember, I don't know if you remember in the 80s, but everybody had citrus plants.
Yeah.
I had 4, grapefruit, orange, mandarin, kumquats.
Yeah.
And then, the citrus cancer came and they
Wiped
tore it all
everything
down.
out. I remember.
Yeah, citrus cancer.
I remember one of the moments that I find like the most joy, and it was me walking with my dog, where I lived previously. It was around Alapata. It was around here, and it was very therapeutic to go with my dog walking and go to this one vacant lot that had this beautiful mango tree and just picking the mangoes off the ground. And it was something I looked forward to so much. And I find it like so therapeutic because, yeah, you're connecting with your environment, with your ground, with your planet, right? And again, it's things that we take for granted because we're so used to just, tengo que ir para el público a comprar, hacer la compra, and then you pick up your fruits. So there's a lack of connection, I guess, if you will, with like our earth or this planet that we stand on, you know? So I appreciate something I've always appreciated how like you make a lot of these videos and your connection to the Papaya God and all that, but it comes from a real place.
100%.
You know, you are genuinely connected to your earth. You know, so it's something that I've always appreciated.
You know, you're eating the microbiome of what's grown in your yard, and like it's a microbiota. Every organism is connected, and the sun is like charging, and the rain, but it's not charging it. You know, you go to Publix, like you said, or Whole Foods or whatever, and that stuff's millions of miles away. It's not in next to your longitude and latitude. You know, it's not designed for what the ecosystem your body is part of.
Absolutely. I do have a question. What is your favorite Miami term? Or better, or maybe to connect it better, what is your favorite Miami disparate?
Coño. Bueno, yo me
Right there, you just said it, coño. Yeah.
Disparate, coño, de piña.
De piña. Speaking of fruits.
Speaking of fruits, de piña. There's so many good.
Of course.
Aguacate maduro,
peo seguro.
There's the whole aguacate branch. Then there's the whole si te cojo te mojo branch.
Si te engancho te mancho. Si me cabo te papo.
Bro, they're so good, bro. It's all so, I mean, you know, the flow, the Caribbean, Cuban flow, there's not like no other. The island Spanish, bro.
Absolutely.
The flex is real.
And I feel like Miami, I always compare Miami as its own state. It's its own country. Like, it's different. I've been all over the United States, and I've been to multiple countries outside of the United States, and it's the one place that feels like it's a country. It operates off its own rules, its own dialect. It's not like any other place in the United States at all.
100%.
And it's special. And talking about taking things for granted, like the beach. The beach, we have a tropical, we have like the whole saying, right? Like, I live where you vacation, but so many locals, including myself, don't take advantage and take the beach for granted. And we have a beautiful beach just right there, you know, just 15 minutes away. But Miami is a special place. But going back to the phrases and the dialect, mine, you already know, is ponte la pila. So to use a wrestling term, and as we go home and wrap up this beautiful session we've had, mira la pila.
Las pilas cargando aquí el aguacate.
Y el café.
Y el café, coño.
As we go home, if you were to use a wrestling term that you've learned and wrap this up, I do want to ask you a question in regards to ponte la pila. If you can tell me a time in your life where you knew that you had to ponerte la pila.
Coño, that's a deep question because, you know, so many times in my life me ha puesto la pila.
Yeah.
So many freaking times, you know, growing up in Miami was rough in the 80s, you know? So much gang violence and cocaine cowboys and immigrant parents and, you know, the lifestyle. It's changed. No social media, you know? It was real devil worshipping shit.
Yeah.
Pero probably, you know, I've gone through so much shit, dude. Like breaking my legs or this or that or being in wheelchairs but the hardest thing for me, I think, was pasando muerto de Dráculo. Like, how would you say that in English? Passing the spirit of Dráculo in my body. And he took over. And he was, he's vicious. And he survives in the sun. He eats papaya. He hunts 24 hours a day. He doesn't want to sleep. He wants to, you know, everything that Earth has to offer, he wants to take. And
wants it all.
He wants it all. And my body couldn't handle it. It overpowered me, and I got so sick. and realizing, I just had my son, and he was 3 maybe, or almost 3, and he was jumping on my bed. I was in a inflatable bed, and I got so sick, and I was going to the doctors, and it was oh, you have pancreatic cancer, and doing like weird stuff to my body. And then I'm like, they're like, no, you don't have that. And then you have ear cancer. I'm like, how the hell do I have ear cancer? And then doing MRIs and stupid stuff, and they didn't know what was wrong with me, but they were like misdiagnosing me constantly, and me thinking I was gonna die. And then I was like, coño, me tengo que poner las pilas.
Yeah.
Seeing my son like that, like super happy and new life, and I was like, me tengo que poner las pilas.
Yeah.
So I learned how to choke Dráculo, and I learned how to eat his soul. I had to fight,
Yeah, you have to disassociate the connection between yourself and like the character.
And being that person.
That person.
Yeah. And still going on tour and making bread and being Dráculo. But I had to like learn how to tame him. And no cingarme todo el barrio.
Yeah.
and stay out all night,
Yeah.
I meet you at Overtown at 8 a.m. after on a Monday of Art Basel weekend,
Yeah.
And I'm awake for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're in a better place now ever since you've been able to. How are your pilas now since that
pilas
moment?
Are supercharged compared to that moment. Bro, what an honor it is to live on this planet. This is heaven to me. Yeah. We get stressed out with the day-to-day. Please AI come and fuck us hard.
Yeah.
UBI, I don't care. Pero
I do appreciate, and it's something I always like preach, is like being vulnerable. But being vulnerable, I think, is a key for all of us for freedom, right? We come from a very like a demographic, an older demographic that has always taught us to like, oh no, you have to like man up and be strong, and if you cry, like you're soft. And it's like, no, on the contrary, I think being vulnerable provides freedom. You know what I mean? For yourself. So I thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. I know having to like relive that or talk about that is not like things that you like to talk about, or if it takes you back to a certain moment. So again, thank you for being vulnerable, for sharing that. I think the ultimate goal for this is always like, we can have fun, and this has been fun and everything, but the ultimate goal, and I know you're very connected with your universe, with your planet and everything, and the ultimate goal is always to try to inspire others, right? So I feel like a message like that you share can hopefully inspire somebody watching one day and be like, coño, like, not to use the term, oh, me tengo que poner la pila, but saying like, yo, we all go through something.
Ponte la pila.
Ponte la pila. With that said, para todo el mundo ahí, tómate un cafecito y ponte la pila.